Hey friends, Andy here. How you doing? Good to see ya. Today we're going to be talking about
the flux capacitor.
Well, okay, not exactly. The flux I'm going to be talking about today won't let you travel to the future, at least not yet, but it is doing a bunch of cool futuristic things, and today you get to learn about some of them. Full disclosure, I've been mining Flux since it was originally launched in 2018 as Zelcore. I've invested in it, and I also run Flux nodes. I'm what you could call a Flux node nerd. I also want to thank Flux for sponsoring this video and giving me a chance to talk about a really interesting project that I think holds some amazing potential. I'm excited to introduce you to the Flux ecosystem and give you an overview of everything that's going on with it. A quick spoiler alert though first, Flux is a big project and I'm not going to be able to cover all of it in a single video, or even 2 videos. So welcome to part 1 of a 3-part series on Flux where we're going to cover what it is, why it's important, and how you can get in on the action. In today's video, we're going to do a kind of intro orientation Flux 101 overview. In the next video, I'll go into more specifics about how all the different parts interact with each other. And in part 3, I'll talk about my own experience with Flux and tell you what you need if you want to participate as a Flux node operator or a miner. If you find part 1 helpful, then for Flux sake, click the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. In return for doing that, I'll tell you exactly what the Flux is going on. Now, just to clear a couple of things up, for one, there are a bunch of software companies, application, and games named Flux or something very similar to Flux. The Flux we're going to talk about can be found at runonflux.io, and its goal is to provide a decentralized Web 3.0 infrastructure. But we'll get into what all that is in a moment. Another thing to note about Flux is that up until March 27, 2021, it was known as Zelcore or Zel, and then it rebranded and is now Flux. But some of its products and publications still reference Zel, and you may come across older articles and blog posts about Zelcore, so don't get confused. Flux is the cryptocurrency formerly known as Zelcore. But Flux is also so much more than just a cryptocurrency. So with that cleared up, let's talk about what else it is. Flux, the company behind the crypto, has been in development for the past 3 years or so. But Flux isn't actually a company in the traditional sense. It's really a self-funded foundation. They don't accept money from VCs, there are no insider allocations, there was no initial coin offering, remember the ICO craze? And the foundation is managed through XDAO governance, which is a decentralized community that submits and votes on proposals for the future of Flux. So, Flux is a cryptocurrency, Flux is a foundation, but with all that said, what does Flux actually do? In order to understand where Flux is going, we'll have to talk about Web 3.0. Basically, that's decentralized internet, and we're probably going to be hearing about it more and more as blockchain technology allows it to take off. With Web 2.0, which is what we're working with now, governments and companies can block access to certain sites in certain places, censor information, or block money transfers. It's also possible for individual servers to go down, taking websites and apps with them, at least temporarily. Web 3.0, though, will run on the blockchain, so no one will be able to block you or deny access to a service. And Web 3.0 servers can't go down because they'll be using a decentralized network of thousands of computers as their backend. Flux is making a decentralized and scalable computational network possible by using user-run servers. You, yes, you can set up a node, become part of the network, and literally power the project and help it grow. As long as you meet the basic computational requirements, you can join the network and provide CPU, RAM, and storage resources, and get paid in Flux coins. I'll be going into a lot more detail in a later video about the technical requirements, the different tiers of Flux nodes, as well as how to start mining, so if you're interested in getting involved, keep an eye out for that video. Now, if you want an idea of what all this could look like in real life, think Amazon's AWS, only without Amazon. Right now, AWS is the world's biggest, most broadly adopted cloud platform. It has millions of customers, from startups to government agencies, who use AWS for compute power, database storage, content delivery, and much, much more. There's clearly a demand for this kind of cloud infrastructure. In fact, the market for cloud computing is expected to hit $791 billion with a B by 2028. Another comparison that is sometimes made is to ICP, or Internet Computer, not Insane Clown Posse. Though if you're a juggalo throwing down the Fago, no judgment there. ICP, the crypto, is similar to Flux in that it aims to create a public internet, but ICP is still running its own servers and is highly centralized as opposed to Flux, which has created a decentralized network of users. ICP has also been criticized for having too much VC and insider involvement in token distribution. Even so, ICP has a market cap of 8.7 billion. There's that B again, so it's safe to say there is some potential in this area. So we've got our decentralized network. What do we do with it? The Flux OS offers a few advantages, such as censor-proof websites. Once a website is hosted using Flux, it's available on nodes throughout the world, meaning that no single entity can remove it or block it from being seen in specific places. Decentralized identity solutions, which also have a lot of potential to help users defend their data and privacy by using distributed ledger technology. And finally, dApps. Not to be confused with DApps, DApps are simply computer applications that run on a decentralized computing system, as opposed to apps that run on a centralized system. A dApp is a smart contract deployed to a blockchain with a front-end user interface like a website. DApps are often used in decentralized finance, aka DeFi, which uses DApps to perform financial functions on blockchains, like lending or borrowing funds or trading coins or earning interest in a savings-like account without a centralized intermediary. This makes them more private and more resistant to censorship. And in theory, you can rely on the smart contract to always behave in a predictable way, unlike, say, a financial institution that could misuse your financial data, get hacked, or just decide to change the way they do business. The drawback is that the front ends of dApps are almost always hosted using centralized services. This makes for a much easier user interface, but it negates most of the advantage of having the dApp in the first place. This is where Flux comes in. Flux dApps are recorded on Flux chain, making them infinitely scalable contracts. Flux calls them infinity contracts, the next iteration of smart contracts. Flux has over 30 dApps currently live on the network, including web hosting the Flux website. The Flux ecosystem is run using Flux cryptocurrency, which is used for purchasing resources, collateralizing nodes, and fueling transactions on Flux OS. Users who don't have access to Flux will be able to purchase distributed computing power with other cryptocurrencies or fiat money. But users who pay in Flux will get discounts. The Flux team hopes this will encourage widespread adoption of the network. Community members can earn Flux either by mining or providing computational resources for Flux nodes, or both. You can also buy, sell, or trade Flux on a number of crypto exchanges. Flux is a native crypto asset with its own blockchain. However, Flux also provides access to multiple blockchains through parallel assets. Flux is creating 10 parallel Flux assets on 10 other blockchains that will be interchangeable with the main Flux chain, and each other using Flux's Fusion dApp, which is part of Flux's multi-asset Zelcore wallet. This provides Flux holders with easy access to all major DeFi platforms. The idea behind this is to allow Flux to leverage the best parts of all major blockchains, such as higher throughput and smart contracts, while also preserving the core proof-of-work chain. Flux uses the analogy of someone who's a native of one country living abroad in another. The citizen has all the benefits of the foreign country that they reside in, but they can always return home. Think of it a little like holding two passports. Each time a new chain is added, people holding Flux in the Zelcore wallet, Coin Metro wallet, or a Flux node receive a free airdrop. To date, 3 parallel assets, Cadena, Ethereum, and Binance, have already been created and distributed to Flux holders, with 2 others, Solana and Tron, coming online on October 15th. This means if you're holding Flux in Coin Metro, Zelcore, or a node, you'll receive about 13.6 of your holdings as an airdrop, evenly divided between Flux Solana and Flux Tron. And 5 more parallel assets will be coming soon. Lastly, I want to talk about the economics and the price of Flux. As I record this video, the price of 1 Flux is 42 cents, and the project has a market cap of just over $77 million. Of the total supply of 440 million coins, 187 of them are in circulation. Of that 187 in circulation, nearly 40% is locked up with nodes, which is pretty amazing. So what do I think about the price? Where's it going from here? Well, if I use the example of ICP I mentioned earlier, which has a market cap of $8.7 billion, then I can calculate that if Flux were to get the exact same market cap as ICP, 1 Flux would be worth $47.65 each, which is well over a 100x from where it is today. That doesn't mean that will happen, but I think there's still so much room for price action with Flux. So that's a lot of Flux info, and we're still just scratching the surface. But wrapping up what we have so far, Flux is incentivizing ordinary people like you and me to contribute computing power to a decentralized cloud infrastructure that will live on the blockchain and make it easier for companies and individuals to protect their data and avoid censorship. This ability to participate in the project and contribute to the network in many different ways is something I love about this project. There are a zillion crypto projects out there where the full extent of your interaction is just buying a coin and hanging on to it. With Flux though, you have so many other ways to get involved and earn. In part 2, I'm going to go into a deeper dive about the Zelcore wallet, as well as more on operating nodes and mining. If you found this video helpful, then please take a moment to hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. Remember, I've got parts 2 and 3 coming up, so don't forget to subscribe to be sure that you don't miss them. If you are curious about crypto mining or about running nodes, be sure to watch this video where I dig into my mining rig and node setup. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye.